You know those days when it feels like the universe is just conspiring against you? We've all been there. But what if that feeling we call bad luck isn't luck at all, but just, you know, bad math? Let's get into it.
Yeah, those days. It starts with one little thing going sideways, and then suddenly it feels like a total domino effect of disaster. I bet this image feels a little too real, doesn't it?
I mean, think about it. You're settling in for the big game, and poof, the TV goes fuzzy. Or you're rushing to lock the door, and yep, it's always the very last key on the ring that actually works. You're late, and of course, you hit every single red light. And don't even get me started on the supermarket. How do we always manage to pick the one checkout lane that just stops moving? It's so easy to just throw your hands up and chalk it all up to bad luck, right? Most of us have a name for it, Murphy's Law. It's kind of the go-to explanation for all of life's little frustrations. But is that what's really going on? So let's break that down. What exactly is Murphy's Law? Let's take a look at this unofficial rule that seems to run our most annoying moments. At its heart, Murphy's Law is this really simple and, let's be honest, kind of pessimistic idea. If there's any chance for something to go wrong, it probably will. It's this feeling that there's some invisible force just waiting for us to mess up. But what if it's not some cosmic prankster? What if there's actual science behind why things seem to go wrong so often? And this is where British physicist Robert Matthews comes in. He actually studied these common frustrations and came to a really interesting conclusion. He said, look, it's not bad luck, and it's not just a coincidence. It's something else entirely. So this really flips the whole thing on its head. The myth we all kind of believe in is that it's all about luck. But the reality, according to Matthews, actually comes down to two pretty logical things: our own psychology and the simple laws of probability. Okay, first, let's talk about the psychology part. Our brains are basically wired to remember the bad stuff more than the good stuff. Think about it from a survival standpoint, right? It was way more important for our ancestors to remember the one poisonous berry than the 100 perfectly good ones. This creates what's called a selective memory. So you don't really notice the 50 times you cruise through all green lights, but you will absolutely remember that one time you hit 10 red lights in a row. And then you've got the math. A lot of the time, the odds are just stacked against us from the very beginning. It's not that we're unlucky, it's just that the thing we don't want to happen is actually more likely to happen, statistically speaking. Here is the perfect example. Let's go back to that supermarket with 5 cashiers. Your odds of picking the single fastest lane? That's just 1 in 5, or 20%, which means you have a whopping 80% chance of picking a slower one. So when you end up stuck in that slow line, it's not Murphy's Law attacking you, it's just probability playing out. Okay, so this whole selective memory and probability thing, it makes sense in theory, but can you actually see it in action? Well, let's look at one of the most famous examples of Murphy's Law out there, the tragedy of the buttered toast. You know the rule. We all know it. If you drop a piece of buttered toast, it's gonna land butter side down. Every single time, making the biggest mess possible. It feels like a law of the universe. But is it true? Well, our guy, physicist Robert Matthews, decided to actually test it. He got together with BBC television, rounded up 300 people, and had them all do a massive experiment. They threw buttered toast into the air to see which way it would land. So what happened? The results were a perfect split. 50% landed butter side down, 50% landed dry side down. It was literally a coin toss. So why are we all so convinced it always lands butter down? That's our selective memory kicking in again. We remember the messy cleanup, and we totally forget all the times we got lucky. So a lot of life's little annoyances are really just our brains playing tricks on us, or us losing a roll of the dice. But there's a third and final piece of the puzzle. Those times when the person to blame isn't Murphy, but the person looking back at us in the mirror. Come on, let's be honest. When the hot water suddenly goes cold in the middle of your shower, is that bad luck? Or is it a sign the water heater needs to be fixed? If you miss the bus, it's probably because you didn't wake up early enough. And if you lose all your computer files, well, ouch, but that's on you for not making a backup. And here's the really crucial point. While it's super easy, and sometimes even comforting, to blame our problems on some outside force, like Murphy's Law, it's almost never the whole story. And this isn't about pointing fingers. It's actually about empowerment. Because when you understand the roles that probability, psychology, and your own choices play, you stop being a victim of bad luck, and you start taking control.
Which leads me to one last question for you. The next time you feel like you're having one of those Murphy's Law days, just take a second. Ask yourself, is this really bad luck? Is it just math? Or is there maybe something I can actually do about it?